So we've talked a lot about what it means to be a Christian in politics. A Christian in politics to some, such as William Wilberforce, seemed contrary. How can you be living in a state of debauchery, as he would call it, and also be advocating your faith? Well, good for a man like William Wilberforce. He had friends come alongside him and say, you know what, you can be a light in this community, and you can help us champion back then with the big issue was slavery. And of course he took it from not just the cessation of the slave trade, but slavery abolition across Great Britain. So being a Christian in politics is imperative. It is imperative back then, it is imperative today. So here with us is a man who is unashamed of his faith in politics, who took his career in ministry and took it all the way to Capitol Hill. Senator Lankford, it's a real privilege to have you here. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good to be able to be with you.
Yeah.
Love hearing the story of William Wilberforce.
Yeah, I can't stop talking about him.
He was definitely an influencer.
Yes. So you talked about the concept of we in there, and how it's not just about the elected officials, but those who are their constituents and those who are really the ones putting them there, and how you need to partner with them. Can you elaborate on that, please, sir?
Yeah, sure can. Yeah, I actually do talk to people that will catch me and say, just as you just said, how can a Christian be involved in politics? It's a dirty place, it's difficult and all that. And I always laugh and think, how unusual for God to send light to dark places. We should be used to that. For some reason, people think I could be a missionary in all these different countries where there's unreached people groups, but if it actually goes into the political world, into a city council, a school board, or Washington, D.C., for some reason they think, oh, that's totally different. It's not totally different. It's a place where light needs to be able to be applied. I come back to the first word of our Constitution. First word of our Constitution, we. And for some reason, culturally, we've got two things going on. One is people are thinking, okay, the whole world's about me. And it's what I want. And all the people elected, they work for me, they work for me, they work for me. And in some ways that's true, but it's really everyone, including me, work for we. This is we the people. We have to decide this. We have to move the different issues. So there's one extreme where people are just self-focused on it, and they think if everything's not perfect and everything's not like I want, I'm just going to check out on it. The other one is this really on focus on somebody else has the responsibility for government. That's somebody else's task. And I try to remind people, this is we the people. And if individuals just check out, they literally hand over to someone else the right to be able to make decisions in our nation. So when Christians don't run for school board, we watch what happens. When everything falls apart in that way, when people don't engage in city councils, when people don't engage in Congress, when people don't run for state house, when people don't get involved in their community and leadership and whatever it may be, they literally just turn that over to people that may or may not walk with God. Christians need to understand they're a part of we, and we can't just hand over that responsibility to others. We have a responsibility to be able to help be an influence in our nation, not only a biblical responsibility, but in our nation, a constitutional responsibility as well. This is still we the people. D.C. doesn't change the nation changes D.C. And if D.C. is ever going to change, it's because people in communities impact their communities. They share their faith, they live out that faith, they're a positive influence in the culture, and then they elect people that share those same values. You don't get Christians elected to Congress unless the community has a faith as well. And so if you're going to be an influence in what's happening in D.C. and you're going to send people to that, then the community's got to be that as well. That means we have to get busy influencing our culture and standing up for life and truth.
And it's not just on the federal level.
It's not.
People say, okay, I got to vote for president. Yeah, you do. Well, I got to vote for Congress. Yes, that's true too. But they see how all the cases that go to the Supreme Court, I wish people understood this issue started in the states. You know, I mean, we see what's happening in Loudoun County. That's not even state issues. That's a county. That's a school board. All right, Masterpiece Cake Shop started as a state issue. The overturn to Dobbs started as a state law. I wish people were more in tune with that. The we-ness of it all.
It is. It really is we. We lose track of that. And so somehow in America, we think there's this mystical way decisions are made and people are influenced. It's we all speaking out on these different issues and trying to be able to sway people to what's true and right. When we sit down, other people take the lead on that. When we engage, we're an influence.
Over a 2-week span last June, we saw the reverse to Roe versus Wade. We saw victories for religious liberty, and we saw victories for the Second Amendment to a degree. With the way that America is going, with the way that culture is swaying, it is becoming more and more imperative for Christians to be involved, for Christians, as you said in there, get out and run for office. Actually go and fill those offices. I really appreciated that you said that. So that begs the question, or raises the question, how do we prepare young men and women today? They're in their 20s, they're in college, they have the emotional investment there, and I would even argue the conviction, but how do we prepare them to maintain that conviction as they pursue political influence?
I have to tell you, because I'm an elected official, people will come and ask me all the time, okay, I want to do that one day. What do I need to do? And I think their first response is, I'm going to go volunteer on a campaign and I'm going to learn campaigns on it. And obviously that's a great idea, but campaigns isn't the job. Campaign is the job interview. Okay, if you're good at the job interview, that's okay, fine, but you've got to be good at the job when you actually get it as well. So the first thing I tell people is, if you're going to be an influence in your society and in your culture and your environment, you need to do the work. You need to actually learn this stuff. You need to learn your history. You need to learn the issues. It's one thing to know how to be elected, and it's another thing to know how to do the job when you're actually elected in it. So for people that have a passion to be an influence on the culture through an elected political office or a volunteer or leadership, whatever it may be, do your work. By the way, it's a biblical principle as well to be able to honor God in our work and to be able to say, whatever I do, I should do for the glory of God. So I shouldn't be weak at what I do. I better be the best at what I do. People know that I'm a Christ follower on the Hill, so I should be the best legislator on the Hill to show them that this is what a Christ follower does. I don't want to be elected into a task and people say, well, he's a nice guy, but he can't get the job done. So don't elect Christians because they can't get the job done. That's not true. That actually dishonors Christ in the task on it. So for people that are interested in this task, go volunteer in a campaign. Go get involved. Go study all those things. That's a good thing to do. But don't stop there. Learn the issues. Do the research. Do your homework. And learn the issues. So when God puts you in that spot, you're actually prepared for that task as well.
Senator Lankford, thanks so much for your time.
You bet. Glad to be able to do it.